This is Sports Inside and Out. Legends of Sports, the voice of Legends of Sports. When legends speak, people listen. Now, here's your host, the coach, Chuck Hatcher.
All right, this is Coach Hatcher, Sports Inside and Out. Legends of Sports, thank you for letting us be a part of your day, and welcome back to the show, the voice of the Legends of Sports. That's right, when legends speak, people listen is our jargon, and that is what we got to do because we are the voice of those that help make the game. That's right, and we got the news you can use from those that know and played the game to make it what it is today. Hey, listen, let's have some fun. We got two great ones here today. Probably the most heralded, celebrated Olympic legends in history. A lot of you may not remember, but I know most of your parents and all remember, one of the most controversial and celebrated Olympics in history, the Mexico Games, the 68 Olympics. And these are the two uh, heralded Olympians that made an impact that was always going to be stable in the annals of sports and sports in society. That's why we got them both. John Carlos, now he's Dr. John Carlos, one of the most sought after Olympic speakers of the game. I have to say he's all over the world and he's done so much, not just to what you call facilitate and bring to bear the black diaspora as far as sports, but he's also the one that is very speaking up in the name of those that are disadvantaged and of the race. So he's also something that we're going to enjoy having that two for one. Of course, Bob Beamon is Bob Beamon. This guy is probably has the only record in the Olympic history has never been broke. Heralded in every way, but not given the credit due. He's a Hall of Famer right next to Jesse Owens in the Olympic Hall of Fame. And we got them both right now coming to you to do something very special called Two for One. And we're going to let them get started right now because they have so much to say. You're going to really enjoy it because these guys are a lot of fun. Let's go on now, guys. How y'all doing?
Hanging in there, coach. Hanging in there. Long time coming, man. I think we're getting to the threshold right now. I'm just so honored to be able to do this show. Bob and I've been talking about doing this show probably before they even had the show. And when we were youngsters coming up, talking about we were going to do great things in the world of athletics, we've succeeded in that area. Now we anticipate fulfilling our dream, which is to do this show Two for One. I know Bob's excited about it.
John, let's not forget about the magic moment, the magic day when we were rolling through the world and competing, man. I don't think that we would ever think that we would ever get to the age where we would really have the flavor, the information, the backdrop that we can sit down and talk about. But you have reached a wonderful age of 80 years old, man.
80 years old. Happy birthday, my dear friend.
Happy birthday to you. And that's a magic number, but man, you know, that's for those that are in their 90s and close at 100, they still say you're a young boy. You're a young man, a young man. And so we got a lot to say because there's a lot going on with sports as well as other social events. And
it's going to be great, man. I'm so pleased, man. And the best part about it that this is a very improv format that we have, and the things that are coming up that are to bear within today's society is the controversy, the contrast, of course, I got to say, is like night and day between what we or you guys went through to be able to put the Olympic sports and sports at large into the type of showcase that it is now. And these young ball players and these young fans are really remiss if they don't understand and study how the games of sports, in every sports, I should say, have been put to the degree that they are in now because of the efforts that you guys and the pain, sweat and tears that you guys put on to be able to make the money that these tracks stars and other stars are doing now, you know? Yeah, yeah.
Well, what you would call us, Chuck, I think we, I think pioneers could be best described.
Yeah, yeah, for
Because,
sure.
when we were competing, just to make one note, and I know that John is going to follow up with something incredible to say, we actually were getting per diem a day of $2 a day. And that's all that we would get in terms of eating, to socialize or whatever. And if we're out in another country, can you imagine what the cost would be for us to get $2 a day, where we couldn't even really get an incredible, decent haircut that we usually get back in the States? But
Yeah, yeah.
we
Well, you know, one
survived.
thing that overseas, you know, when I played basketball over there, man, the 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 amount of gratitude that we have with the different countries that we played in were even more gratifying than what we got from the States because, like you said, you had $2 a day per diem. Of course, we did go through that playing basketball, but we made more and had more from the fans over around the world than we had here. So the only thing we could do is say at least you had $2 in your pocket because at least the fans took care of the rest of them. But Carlos, what you got to say about a big timer?
Well, I'm just sitting back reflecting on what Bob said, $2 a day. I remember we used to go into the stadium, man, and we would see, in particular in Europe, we go into a stadium, we'd see 100,000 people plus sitting in the stadium chanting your name, excited about your prospective performance of the day, and realizing that we had to eat maybe once a day because we didn't have no more than $2 a day. The food wasn't always readily available at the hotel. I recall for that $2 a day, we had to help senior citizens that was on this trail following us through Europe. We had to run and pick their luggage up and run to the plane with their luggage and post our luggage. But this was all part of the scenario to make great competition. We didn't have the concern about the fact that we wasn't making the money. At the same time, there was a need for the money. We didn't have the concern because we were young, but there was definitely a need for the money because when we took off and went to Europe, we went to Europe and stayed over there sometimes for 2 months. And you come home, your bills don't just sit on the shelf for 2 months and wait for you to come back and say, let me wave the magic wand and pay the bills. The bills are mounting up. The Federation USA Track and Field didn't do anything to support us financially. Didn't anyone do anything to support us financially? So Bob and I had to actually create our own circumstances in terms of doing various interviews in Europe to make an extra dollar. And I recall they would always come to Bob and I and tell us, no, guys, you guys are amateur. And if you're known to take 50 cents more than that $2 that we give you, then you will give your amateur status. And, sometimes you had to apply a thing called tough love. And I remember telling the man, I said, look, man, you tell me about, I can't get this 50 cent or this extra dollar because I'm an amateur. Well, you could take amateurism and roll it up and stick it in your back pocket because I have bills to pay at home. I have my kids to feed. Bob has the same situation in his house. And we're going to do what we do. Now, if you feel you want to kick us off the team and not advertise that we're going to be here, so be it. But the bottom line is right is right, fair is fair, and wrong is wrong. And they were wrong what they did to many of the athletes of that era.
Well, both of you guys, man, that you paved the way for the type of exposure and money that these kids get now. Because, as you know, the thing that the most it had to be one of the most watched Olympics of all time was that '68 Olympics, just because of the gravitas that y'all brought to to the stadium, to the game, and the type of excitement that was generated from that point on seemed to be a template for what it is today. Now, you guys are still out there fighting the good fight and spreading the good word in your own way, pretty much for the legends of the game now, because you are finally being appreciated to a point, and your voices now are very much in demand and are more relevant now than ever before. But these young kids now, some of them are making $1 million and on the what you call the World Games or what you got tour, y'all got World Tour, whatever it was, man, and even in the Olympics. And you look now at what they're doing and how much money they're making now. They kids making $6 million and things of that nature for doing something that y'all did out of mostly love and pride. So, you know, it's the same as we did in basketball, you know, but the love of the game. But how does it seem now? Do you see that any appreciation from these young kids and the fans now outside of over in Europe, where y'all are still super popular and in demand and want to be seen? How is it now? Do you really get the appreciation from these young kids, or are they really listening to you guys?
Well, let me just say to that, Coach. First of all, you know, you look at your basketball, all of the icons of your sport are acknowledged on a daily basis in terms of them laying the foundation for basketball, which is a great sport today. Track and field, when you convert back to track and field, you can say track and field was the grandfather for all sports. I don't care whether you played table tennis, you played basketball or volleyball, everybody had to do some running to get their foundation in order.
Right.
And when you sit back and think about the various leagues, baseball, football, soccer, they all bring up their icons, their legends. It's hard to find in track and field that they bring up the legends unless they need them, like to bring them up for the Olympic movement or to bring them up for a track meet that they're trying to promote. But to levy the icons in track and field relative to the icons in the various other sports, Jackie Robinson, you know, all of the great athletes that came about, you have to dig far and wide to find a history on Bob Beamon or a history on John Carlos. It's almost like they say, well, the page has been turned on us. A lot of the young athletes, they don't really have respect for us, not merely because they're disrespectful, but merely because they're not taught about us. And what they did learn about us was to stay away from us, because the 1968 games, as great as it has been, they classify that games as the taboo games. Don't associate yourself with those individuals. And why they don't want them to associate with us is because when we went to the game, we might have been young of age, but we were growing in mind in terms of having a place in society, an era in society which you had to speak upon the issues of your relevance in the sport. I can't just take myself out of Harlem or out of South Central LA or South Side Chicago and think that I could just disregard all of my upbringing, disregard all of my friends that went down on drugs, or all my friends that went through school opposed to going to school, all my friends that couldn't get a decent job to support their families. We took it upon ourselves to say, man, we're going to rise, but we're never going to rise and leave you guys forgotten. We are always exemplify who you were, because as great as Bob Beamon was, or as great as John Carlos was, there was people in our neighborhood far greater than us that didn't make it through the slums of the city, you might say. So it's very necessary for these young kids to get a feel for what's going on. I don't want them to think that they built the cart and the whole track game started on their head. It didn't start on their head. And Bob Beamon don't ask them for anything. I don't ask them for anything. But one thing I can say, I demand the respect because I earn the respect. I ain't ask you to give me anything other than that I earn. I mean, it's like for Mr. Beamon to go to a track meet and they tell him, well, Mr. Beamon, you're going to have to go over there and pay you $12 or $15 or whatever it is to get in there. How you going to charge Mr. Beamon and he made it available for all spectators, for all participants in the sport, whether you be the administration of the sport, whether you be a spectator in the sport, or whether you be a competitor in the sport. It's just not right that they would charge Mr. Beamon to get into a track meet. And the main reason why they would charge him is because they don't know him. And it's wrong. It needs to be corrected.
That's one great thing about communication, guys, that, you know, the legacy and the legacy that y'all put down in the, I have to say, beyond 60, and I'll say from the 70s, 80s, 90s, it start dying out when these young kids start looking at something outside of what it is to represent their family, city, and their race, and doing the things that's proper, as we had to sacrifice in coming up, because we never left home alone. We always took the pride of where we were with us, and the camaraderie of the fraternity of players during our era is strong now than ever before. There's a lot of being lost, but that's why this particular show and station, Sports Inside and Out, the upcoming 2-for-1 show, this is what it's all about, Bob, because now all of those that are going to be saying, oh, I remember when, and I remember them, now we'll be able to say to these kids, you need to check these guys out, because one thing they do know, they may Google everything crazy, but they also know how to Google you two guys. And that's what this show is about, is to vote and let y'all have your conversations now that help make the game of sports itself what it is today. So 2-for-1 is going to be about that. Let's talk about a couple of the things that you guys are going to be bringing up, guys. Bob, what plans need to know?
Let me just make one additional point, just to let you know how difficult it was to be an athlete where we're coming from. John's coming from Harlem, uptown. I'm coming from South Jamaica and Queens. We had family. We married. And as he said, that we had 100,000 people in each of the stadiums that we participated in. So you can imagine the dollars that were accumulated by these promoters to put in their back pocket. And as I said, $2 a day. On one trip that we did, we were scheduled to participate in about 5 or 6 meets, and we got so bad financially. Families calling us back home. You know, you got to go back home and find a job, a summer job, to work. We came back. We had to stop in the middle of the competition to go back and to look for the possibilities of getting a summer job. While we're going to school, and all of that, all incorporated into one. So we've had a real difficult time trying to make ends meet during the time. But you know what? When you look at us now, you can't even imagine that stuff would ever happen. I mean, we have stories. We have very interesting stories that tell you about what is called amateur, and how difficult it was to really not try to go the other way and say, look, give us $5,000 and we'll turn pro. The kind of stuff. This is stuff that today that these athletes are not understanding what we went through as pioneers of what track and field it is today. Guys can make a living.
Well, Coach, what I'd like to bring to the show, there's many professional athletes that played in the various sports that really never finish their education. They started out great as great students, and then their athleticism took over, and they was pretty much given a grade opposed to earning a grade. Therefore, when their careers were over, many of them fell on their face. Many of them were disillusioned to think that they were what they were saying in the press, and they found out that they had been put to the wayside. We need to have an opportunity to let these individuals vent what has happened to them in their careers in the professional realm, as well as what happened after the professional realm. And maybe they can throw some light on the fact that they did not receive the education that they should have received because they wasn't paying attention, and let them know how valuable that education is today as much as it was back at that time. Also, we want to make sure that we get individuals to understand the political overtones that take place in terms of the pressures they put on you as an athlete. They tell you that you're supposed to be an athlete that might represent a certain segment of society, and you have to follow their rule of line, and you can disregard your environment. You can disregard your needs because their need is greater because they put you in a contract. But those are issues that need to be discussed. So we can't do anything for a guy that signed a contract, but we can do a lot for an individual that might be a potential contractee signing later to make him understand the significance of value in terms of your education. What am I going to do? What do I want to do in life after basketball? What process do I have to go to set this up so I can be on the road, feet on the ground once I'm done with basketball or once I'm done with football? To give them a program, to give them a mindset that, hey, man, it's time for me to start thinking about what's going to happen in the next phase of my life. Because everyone is not going to be a LeBron James. Right. Everyone is not going to be Mr. Curry. Everybody is not going to be Kobe Bryant. So there's a lot of individuals out there that have good game, but they don't have great game. And if they don't have good money management skills, all of that would be for naught because most of them won't leave the league and they're going to be pretty much depleted. So these are things that need to be discussed that we seldom have an opportunity to discuss. There's almost like it's taboo. We don't want to discuss this because this might wake up the young minds and want them to be a little more articulate when they go in to negotiate a contract or be a little more on their jobs. These things are very important because when you sit back and you look at these young athletes, there's always someone younger. Their kids are looking up to them. Daddy, what do you?
That's right. That's right. They're looking at it. It's almost like Wally Jones, our dear legend and co-host of the show too. It's almost like it's a clip. These kids are watching you. They're coming up right behind you. If you don't think that they're not paying attention to you, you see it as a result of what you've done in your community. One thing I do think also, guys, and if I might be remiss to be able to tell this, the likes of the Dr. Richard Lapchecks, the gurus of sports and society, the guys in the Nate Smith Hall of Famers that have been involved and know you guys and respect you to the utmost, this is going to be a show that you're going to be telling these kids and their parents and society what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, pertaining to the impact of what sports can do in society pertaining to today and its society. Because I do know, John, you've said a thing or two and put a few causes out there to make it known around the world how you feel about today's society and the way that not just the African-American diaspora is being taken care of, but the way all the kids are coming up now and what's going on that's pertinent to their lives in society and their families. You and Bob are very much a pioneers and tip of the spear in what today's society is, because it's crazy out here for these young kids, and they easily become dismayed or disorientated or misled in what's going on in society today.
You have a good
one thing, let me add one thing to what you said, Bob, is one thing that I've learned over the years is that there's two icons There's a man-made icon, and I repeat, a man-made icon and a God-given icon.
Right.
Okay? A God-given icon is say, man, is not about self, it's not about me, it's about my peers, it's about those that's out there that's been less fortunate than me, to let them know that you can be me. If you open up your eyes and believe in yourself and take that word called fair and bury it, or put it in a bottle and send it out to the ocean, because you have to be debonair, you have to be challenging the system to move forward.
Right. Right. Bob?
In addition to all that has been said, you would think that these athletes, with all of the new things that they are developing into sports, as we look at it, it looks like, wow, man, these guys really got it made. But many of them are falling to the wayside because they've got because the social media is so intense that they can't keep up with what is going on out there as athletes, what is expected of them. So they have now breaking down psychologically. And so they've got psychologists now moving in to assist those young people who needs the psychological help to
They got a lot of assets, no question.
keep them in the game of sports, because many of them are getting hurt psychologically.
Right. Hey, let me ask you this, guys. I know that we're getting ready to wind down on this little promo introduction to the 2-for-1 to all of our fans, and also we definitely want to say one thing, and I'll be definitely remiss if I didn't say, please subscribe and like us, because this is the type of shows that is necessary in today's society for not just the fans to know about the history of the game, but to listen to the experiences and knowledge. Because here you have the wisdom and the knowledge to make understanding more relevant to today's society with the youth and the families alike. Let's get one thing. What's coming up next in the next show that these great fans and all of these people that are interested in what the legends have to say? What's up on the next show to kick off the 2-for-1 series that's coming up, guys? They give them the news that they can use.
Well, you take into account, man, when you sit back and you think about sports and society or 2+1, you sit back and think about the arts and the sports. The arts is the nucleus for society. When I say the nucleus, meaning that you can be in a very depressed state of mind. You can have holes in your pocket opposed to having dollars in your pocket. You can have a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. But you can go to a play and leave all that baggage outside. You can go to a basketball game and leave all that hurt outside. You can go to a track meet and release all the frustration you had for that 4 or 5 hours you're going to be at that track meet. All of this is culminated in individuals trying to serve humanity, whether they know it or not. Right. But then there's issues that you have to say, hey man, there's always sweet and pie, and then there's hurt and pain. But you have to be able to be flexible enough to understand what is necessary. What do you have to apply that particular day? Whether you at the track meet and you see a little kid up in the stands looking like in his eyes, he's so hurt, so depressed, to go up there and take a shoe off and autograph the shoe and give it to the kid. That's something that's really
the old days, yeah.
These are the type of things that I did. These are the type of things that Mr. BEAMON did. And I don't see it too much in sports today because a lot of athletes be so into themselves and they don't realize that those individuals sitting in the stands is the ones that feeds their ego. But you have to relax yourself enough to say, I have to give back to my supporters.
So true. What do you think the next show the next show coming up that we want to put out there, Marquis, about what you guys want to bring to bear with the ears of the fans, not just here, but around the world? What's going to be the capture of the next lead-in for you guys' show?
Well, I think what is getting ready to happen with the climate of the economics that is going on, not only in this country, but around the world. It seems like it's going to be a change of attitude, a change of how we think about each other,
Right.
and how we should go about living new life in the future. So we've got a lot to discuss about how do we blend in with the economics, the psychology. All of these things will be coming as a real big melt of conversation.
Okay. John, I got 30 seconds. Give me a quick elevator. What do you
Yeah,
what do you
well,
gotta
we're
say
gonna
about the next one?
we're gonna definitely have to speak about the politics of this nation,
That's
the
right.
politics involved in sports, the politics involved in education. We have to speak about all of these things, and we have to have everybody at the round table to have this discussion. So when we start this program, we anticipate bringing people in, not just merely because you're an athlete. We're going to bring people in that you might be a politician, you might be a clergy, or you might be an educator, but you might be just John Doe in the street. But we're going to bring it in and fuse the individuals to really get to the gut feelings in terms of what they feel that they can do to make it a better society for all people. And at the same time, tell me in your life and time when you had to go and use that greatest invention of all, which is the eraser, because you made mistakes in life.
All right. Well, listen, got to get out of here right now. But listen, don't forget, tune in to the next show with 2 for 1 and more legends of the great NBA, because we got them all. For those that help make the game, we're right here. When legends speak, everybody listens. And we thank you for letting us be a part of your day. And don't forget, subscribe, like. Let's keep this thing rolling and keep the ball down the road. I'm Coach Hatch, your host of Sports Inside and Out, and love you. Thanks, guys.